So when you meet them, you're like, oh my God, I love this person. But then as you start kind of unraveling each other, getting to know each other, you start realizing like, wow, like I don't get along with this. We don't do this right. This isn't okay. And you guys have petty fights and it blows over in this huge, like, honestly, like dramatic moment where you're just kind of like, I don't want to be this person. I hate you. Or we just aren't meant to be together. And for me, Paradise Kiss was such a beautiful take on real life relationships. Yuki's the mouse or rat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the biggest crush on him as a kid. I had the
White-haired man. Wait, didn't you ever? I feel like you would have a crush on the Subaru then. White-haired man.
The cow? Oh, I had a big crush on him too. I had a crush on the rat and the cow. Hi guys, welcome back to Shoujo Talk. It's your favorite hosts, Botoma, aka Bella,
and Kayla. We're so sick.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear in our voice. We're not very low energy. Yeah,
both of our sniffles.
Yeah, super low energy. I went to the gym today too, so I'm very pooped. I'm pooped. Sick.
I just had a full day of work, so yeah. But we haven't recorded since beginning of February.
No, literally, because we've been sick.
Yeah, sick and busy. So
no, literally.
Oh gosh.
I know.
Oh no.
Sick.
We actually have like a really like interesting segment for you guys today.
Well, we did a poll on our TikTok. If you haven't, if you guys don't follow our TikTok, it's Shoujo Talk podcast on all platforms, of course. But we just did like a poll asking, what you guys want to see more on our YouTube and just clips and stuff. And I think a few people said they want to hear like our sad anime recommendations and like deep dive into that. So we
talk more about,
anime,
like the name of our podcast. Sure.
Because for the first 4 episodes, we did really more of like meet us, meet our lives, like who we are, like our dynamic.
And what we're into, for sure.
Which is great and all, but we really want to deep dive into like anime, of course.
Yeah.
And today's segment I think is a really great one because I think it in my opinion pertains a lot stuff that I'm interested about, like dating, romance.
Yeah, for sure.
All that. And so our topic today is toxic or not.
Not toxic. We're going to be deep diving into our favorite shows. A lot of ones that I've actually rewatched just like in the past few months, like so I like refresh my memory. But we're going to be talking about relationships and some of our favorite animes and whether they were toxic or not, or what brought toxicity into that environment.
Yeah. Low key, guys, I'm going to be so honest. I've been like a really big addict about watching isekai animes. Like the one time I turned into a stove or a fridge or something. It's been really bad. I've been watching those and I've been like disgusting about it.
I just watched Princess Jellyfish last night.
Don't even talk about that. I don't even want to think about that. It was sent me into psychosis.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. The manga sent me into a psychosis.
I know. I knew it wasn't gonna.
Because you can't tell me why. No, you can't tell me like why are you changing yourself for a dude, but then there's a man who appreciates you for who you are. Okay, I'm sorry.
But she ends up with.
Yeah, but it's a journey and it's like it's just a beautiful journey and it sends me into psychosis. Okay, anyways. So this is gonna be off topic. We're not gonna get off topic.
We weren't supposed to talk about Princess Jellyfish, but
yeah. So how we're gonna like do this episode is we're just gonna talk about an anime. We're talking about like the main characters or just any side characters that we really enjoyed.
Anime by anime.
Yeah, and then we're just gonna kind of deep dive into their situation from like a real like IRL perspective. Like were they toxic or were they not toxic?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times people do forget that if you put like IRL standards into anime, it wouldn't work. You know what I mean? And anime is like I feel like it's a form of media, so it's a way to escape.
Yeah,
it's a way to kind of like forget about like social, like societal norms and kind of just like social constructs, and you're able to kind of look through a lens of being like, oh yeah, like if this ever happened to me in real life, I would hate this, but this is like
we don't
a cartoon.
think about that when we're watching anime though. Like I watch, like our cutesy like little shoujos, and like we were literally just talking about Maid Sama before we started recording. Like if there was like an actual Usui Takumi that was like following me around school,
stalking
me, like I would lose it. Like,
but if you think about it, he was hot and handsome, so he has pretty privilege.
He does have pretty privilege, but I think we forget like that like things in shoujos are not okay sometimes in real life.
No.
Whether it be like how the characters go about their relationships or how, you know, male love interests pursue the female love interest.
Which like sometimes isn't good because if you guys have watched Black Prince Wolf
Wolf Girl Black Prince.
Wolf Girl Black Prince, that
See?
each episode made me cry because he was just so toxic, so horrible, but she just kept taking it. And if you guys have read the manga, they end up together. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Yeah.
They do, but he doesn't change.
Even at the end of the anime, he's like still nonchalant. He's really like rude and mean at times, like bullies her, but she keeps coming back. Like she's literally like a dog on a leash, like always wagging her tail at like the slightest hint of affection.
Yeah, basically. But that's like we can talk about that another time. But so for what we're gonna the first anime we're gonna start off with was
Paradise
Kiss, one of my favorites.
I also just rewatched. Oh my gosh!
So it's like in your brain.
It's fresh. Honestly, though, I forgot how rushed the anime was.
Well, it's only like 12 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah. It was like 12 or 13 episodes. Yeah. But I was like, oh, like didn't this happen? And I'm like, oh wait. This is the anime, not the manga. Yeah,
the manga, at least with the manga, it's longer, of course. So you're able to kind of see the nuances in their relationship. But in the anime, it's just kind of very rushed. I think it's very surface level, just watching like George and Yukari just get together. Everything happens, blows over, and then the ending. That's it.
Yeah.
That's basically And then like the side characters getting involved and everything.
At least they had like a set, like this is just for the fashion show. Yeah. But low-key Paradise Kiss like brought up like actual like deep dark fears. Like I like forgot how badly I related to Yukari. Like I just have this fear of failure and of failure and like not
as like the first daughter of an immigrant.
First daughters of immigrant families and growing up to be academic weapons, but
sometimes life takes you astray.
Sometimes life like literally like gravitates. I gravitate elsewhere. I'm sorry, I'm not gravitating towards med school.
Freaking same. But okay, anyway, so for me, I remember watching Paradise Kiss. I think it was like end of high school. I was like a senior.
Yeah.
And I remember, I was about a senior in high school. So I remember watching it. And one thing that really stood out to me about Yukari, is it Yukari or Yukari? Yukari? I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
I know.
Yukari and George, one thing that stood out to me is that I had my first relationship in high school.
Me too.
And I remember watching it and being like, oh, and reading it. I remember reading it right after. And I was like, wow, like, it feels like I'm watching a relationship actually happen. And
they had just like that infatuation.
Yeah, like a high school love.
Exactly.
Like the first type of love.
Low-key kind of reminded me of like the Notebook, like how infatuated and how inseparable they were at first, but like on like a surface level or on a deeper level, on a deeper level, like they had a lot of like petty arguments. Like there were a lot of things that they bickered about and didn't get along or like weren't on the same page about. That's like young love.
I think that is, it is young love, because if you think about it, when you first meet someone, when you're so young, you're just so infatuated. You're just like rose-colored tinted lenses. You're like, oh my God, like this is my man. This is the person I'm going to end up with. But then as you start dating them.
Love.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
18.
You're 18, 19, on 17, just in your teens, right?
Yeah.
And so when you meet them, you're like, oh my God, I love this person. But then as you start kind of unraveling each other and getting to know each other, you start realizing like, wow, like I don't get along with this. We don't do this right. This isn't okay. And you guys have petty fights and it blows over in this huge, like, honestly, like dramatic moment where you're just kind of like, I don't want to be this person. I hate you. Or we just aren't meant to be together. And for me, Paradise Kiss was such a beautiful take on real life relationships. I know there's a lot of like discussion.
I feel like it was honestly like, even though, like circumstances were like, I feel like it was pretty realistic. Like
I think so too.
The push and pull of like you just said, like, oh, I'm like so in love with you, I'm so infatuated, but then they have a petty fight.
Yeah.
They blow up and they're like, I hate you. just for them to like, you know, take a couple days, take a step back, and then
then-
realize like they still love each other. Like,
it's kind of like, okay, I understand why people say it's a toxic relationship, because a lot of toxic relationships do that. It's like a lot of push and
Yeah.
pull. It's a lot of like, you guys are great. You guys look at each other. You love each other, infatuation. But then you guys have a petty fight. You guys have a huge fight and you don't talk for a couple days or this or that. And you just come back. But I think the difference between a toxic relationship and young love is that young love, you know nothing about love. You only
right,
know
like,
about
how
the
could
love
you
from your
call-
parents.
How could you call that toxic when that's like your first time
relationship.
expressing
Yeah.
love? You know what I mean?
Which I can understand the different viewpoint of being like, oh, they were toxic. George was toxic.
Right, like if you want to talk about how they express their love as being
yeah.
toxic, yeah, absolutely. Like if they were grown adults
100%.
doing that,
Yeah.
then absolutely.
But I think people failed to realize is
They
that
didn't know how to love, and also
Yeah.
they had life. I mean, George, like he had his career that he was like trying to start up, and
Yukari didn't really know what she wanted.
she really didn't
No.
know what she wanted. I mean, she found him and he popped an idea into her head like, "Oh, model, you're gorgeous. Like you're perfect for modeling." And then she took it and ran with it, and you know, nothing else mattered at that point. Like she really dropped everything to do this for him. And in turn, like that association in her mind meant that she was going to be with him forever.
Which is young love. Think about this. You're in high school. You guys, it's
Yep.
senior year, and you're
Yep.
picking out colleges. And out of nowhere, your boyfriend chooses another college, and you're like, "Well, we can make this work." You both are going to college, and you guys were together for 3-4 years in high school. So of
Yeah.
course, you're gonna think that's the only person you know. That's the only person
Yeah.
that you've felt and expressed this type of like strong emotion towards, other than your family. So of course, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be together," but then you guys aren't. But like, what I was gonna say is that like I feel like a lot of people fail to realize that George was also, this is his first time living. It's his first time feeling this type of infatuation, and she was his muse. So of course he had a lot of love for her. He
Oh,
felt
yeah.
so much love for her, but
And
like,
he will forever be.
in love with her.
Yeah,
of course.
100%.
But-
she will always be his muse that inspired his career.
And for Yukari, George will be the person who ignited a passion into
Yeah,
her.
absolutely.
And I know this is gonna suck to hear, but breakups are necessary for relationships. People who have been going strong, yeah, keep going. You know, like that. I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about people who like want like when a relationship isn't working and you feel like both parties aren't being met. Of course, a breakup is necessary. And for George and Yukari, George wanted to pursue his dream in fashion.
Simply for their careers alone. I
Yeah.
mean, Yukari, like, when the anime ended, her career in modeling was just
Starting.
just
Exactly.
She was not an established model. It's not like she could pack up, go to Paris,
And live
become
with him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
become an established model there. So, like, in this case, the breakup was necessary. Do I think that, you know, the writers could have wrote in that they find each other like 10 years down the line instead of her marrying a different man? Yeah.
I just don't feel it's realistic though, because I feel like
it's
Ayazawa.
100%. It's
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like Ayazawa, at least in my experience, sorry, I had a burp. In my experience of like reading and watching her stuff, she tends to have a lot of realistic situations
it's very
and
real.
yeah, and
It's
I feel
very
like
real.
Paradise Kiss, sorry, not the other anime, Paradise Kiss and Nana. Even though you can tell it's an anime and like I haven't lived through what they've lived through, but I can at least empathize and honestly just like connect with, wow, I've gone through something similar.
And understand, yeah, they probably won't find each other. I think what's just so sad and heartbreaking and gut-wrenching is how in the anime they still allude to the fact that they found each other in some sense.
In the manga, they don't.
Yeah.
In the manga, they don't. In the manga,
Yeah.
I know in the manga, they
Like she
both.
attends like a Broadway show in America
Yeah.
for her honeymoon with her husband because she marries Hiro.
Yeah.
She ends up marrying Hiro.
Which, not gonna lie,
we're
green
gonna
flag.
talk about that next.
Green flag.
We're gonna talk about that next though,
Oh.
because I don't think he's a green flag.
I think he is.
I think he's a yellow flag at best.
Okay, let's break this down.
Yeah.
You and I have different viewpoints.
So I think that was just like an unnecessary like tug at the heartstrings, like, oh, you know, going to see a Broadway show in America with my husband for our honeymoon.
Where George is.
Yeah, where George was the designer for all of their costumes.
But I also think it's
La La Land moment.
Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, it is heartbreaking, heart-wrenching to think about, like, yeah, but I think it's also just beautiful to think that even after all this time, she can still go watch something that George designed and be like, wow,
absolutely.
Like, this
they
is
have no ill will towards each other,
that's
which
why
is beautiful.
I don't understand why not you people, I don't understand why people call George toxic, and I don't understand why they call their relationship toxic. I just think it was young love, and young love hurts, and you have to move on from it, and that's it, at least in my opinion. That's just where I stand. I don't think they're toxic.
Maybe even as adults, they could look back and be like, oh, like, you know, maybe things could have worked out with that person, but it just didn't. It just didn't. And that's Ayazawa's viewpoint. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Yep. I don't think it was toxic.
Not toxic. Strike. So Paradise Kiss, not toxic.
Hero, though, yellow flag at best.
Mind you, I haven't watched Paradise Kiss in like almost 7 months. So this is from what I remember.
All I need to say is he is still in love with Miwako.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh man, I forgot about that.
Still in love with her.
I forgot about that.
And Miwako, as much as I love her, as much as like I adore her and her style and her personality,
She wasn't a good person though.
I don't think was a good girlfriend.
No.
I don't think so. And not because, you know, she like was a cheater. I don't think she was a cheater. I don't remember anything from the manga about her cheating.
I don't
She
either.
didn't cheat in the anime.
No.
But, you know, pushing her partner to feel so strongly that she could have or she's capable is why
That's toxic. That's
toxic.
That I'm not gonna lie. I sometimes sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Sometimes, like in my real life relationship, sometimes I would like push my partner to feel a certain emotion because I wanted to see if they loved me or if they were scared of losing me. And that's
Do you think
where
she was doing that?
I think so, because there was a lot of times 7 months ago, I remember when I watched it, I was going through a really bad breakup with my ex, like a really bad one. I was very, very like depressed. And I remember being like, wow, like she kind of sounds like me. And I was in a very toxic relationship.
Sounds like him too, like saying things or doing things to get reactions. I didn't really pick up on that. I didn't necessarily think when watching it that she was going to meet Hiro. I mean, that first time when Yukari kind of like brings them together, like that was just coincidence, right? Like, but she's oh my gosh, am I having a stroke?
I think you are. Her spirit's cursing you.
Sorry, Miwako. She should have still told Arashi that they met. And also, he was invited, but obviously she didn't know. She didn't know that Hiro was going to be there, so she...
Low-key, I kind of forgot about all this. I'm not going to lie.
She should have told him that, you know, Yukari brought Hiro there. It wouldn't have been on her. But the fact that she hid it... The fact that she hid it. And he had to find out from Hiro. Arashi did. And then texting in the middle of the night. I don't know what it was because when I was watching it recently, I don't remember what it said. But like they showed the text messages, but they didn't translate it to English. So I have no idea what it said.
You up?
I don't remember. It was late at night. And Arashi got so mad seeing that he smashed her phone. Yeah, it could have been labeled as emotional cheating, like if he didn't know her any better.
Well, in my most personal opinion, I feel like if you're texting someone late of the opposite sex
in the middle of the night,
if it's not like a friend, you're asking a question, but you're intentionally messaging this person,
like, and it's also someone that you know your partner is uncomfortable with.
Oh yeah, it's toxic. That's 100% trying to bait. That's 100% trying to bait a reaction out of your partner, in my opinion. In my most humble opinion.
Yeah, I think deep down she was trying to, like, provoke Arashi into showing how much he really loved her.
But then there's, like, a part of me that wonders, like, why, though?
And why Hiro would give in to
her. Like, why was she pushing so hard? What has caused her? Dude, I need to reread the manga again. I really do.
Yeah.
At this point, I have it. I have the hard copy at home.
Maybe we should revisit this another day.
Honestly, yeah.
We'll revisit once we've researched even more, but surface level thoughts, yeah, she was toxic. And also Hiro, I think, you know, not that he really like owes Arashi anything.
No.
But still,
But like respect for that person because they're in a relationship.
Into it, still responding super late at night. And also, I think it was because he was still in love with her. And knowing that he ends up marrying Yukari, still being in love with Miwako, toxic.
But I feel like, that is toxic. And it's honestly like cowardice it's very cowardly. But I've heard the sentiment. A lot of men will like settle down with a woman when they feel like they're ready, even if they're in love with somebody else, which is kind of crappy to think about.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, I would think.
You know who would never? Silas.
Oh my gosh, it's Raphael's birthday this week.
I don't. Happy birthday, Raphael.
He also has the same birthday as my dad. On this Thursday.
I'm telling you, that's weird. Why do you keep bringing it up? Anyways,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Have you guys, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but have you guys seen the Hear Me Out? Like Papa Tran? That's my dad.
Because I don't know whose birthday I'm going to celebrate on Thursday. Anyway, dang it.
Well, back into what we're talking about. If we want to talk about like a really toxic relationship, let's deep dive into Death Note. Even though like I know Death Note it's like a shonen. A lot of people classify it as more of like, there's not really much romance, but I feel like there was a very toxic push and pull. Absolutely. Very toxic.
No, 100% like pure manipulation just to get what he wanted.
But I mean, that's his whole character, which I get.
That is his character. We can't. I
don't even have words for him.
Like we're simply just saying his character as a whole is toxic.
Okay.
He's so good. He's so charismatic. He's so good about manipulating people to get what he wants.
Well, he's like basically a sociopath.
He is a sociopath. Okay. And I didn't even think he was that cute, guys. Come on now.
I did. I did. Okay. Death Note aside, take away his Shinigami, take away his powers. If he was just a sociopath, just like literally just like point blank period, and he was just a weirdo writing in a notebook, being like, "I'm here,
I wish you die."
Think about that. Like that's just the funny part. But it's not. It's an anime, and he was fine. I thought he was fine.
You know whose profile picture is Light Yagami's?
Huh. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to.
No, we're gonna talk about it.
Ew! What? That's freaking nasty. She just said a disgusting thing. Anyways, my man, Light Yagami, fine, but was he a manipulative jerk who used anyone and everyone to get what he wanted and didn't care and disregarded their feelings?
He played at the heartstrings of multiple women. There's the girl that he went on a date with to the amusement park. Yeah. And then also the FBI agent's wife.
Oh, yep. Hey, I'd be one of them.
And then
that's toxic.
And obviously Misa Amane.
Misa Amane, baddie. Baddie, but she just needs self-respect. That's it.
She's a girl that Bella would say, stand them up.
But think about it, okay, looks aside, yes, Light Yagami to me is very attractive. So I would be interested, just looks alone. But if you were to but he was pulling the string. He was pulling on Misa's heartstrings. He was really using her, basically baiting her, manipulating her.
Oh, and the news reporter.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Oh my gosh, 4 women.
Make it 5, including me.
Oh.
Anyways. But yeah, he was really just using her in a sense.
Absolutely. He felt no love, no respect towards her whatsoever.
But Misa had feelings for him, so he knew that. So he manipulated her, basically used her, which is toxic. If you have feelings for a man and you feel like he is kind of playing into it and you feel like he has no emotions for you,
but he's only calling you when it's convenient for him,
like 3 a.m. as a booty call, yeah, that's not your man.
Or he's only talking to you when it's about something he needs to get done.
Yep. That's not your man. That is toxic. That's manipulation at its finest.
Misa Amane should have just said, my husband would never do that. And move on.
Misa Amane should have been like, no. I have She should have been like,
Or her
you.
Shinigami should have been a better friend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that's the thing too. Her Shinigami loved her.
Yeah, but I
Like,
think her
and that's why
Shinigami
her
couldn't
Shinigami-
stand up either. I don't think she could
Being
stand
as
up.
tall as she was, really?
Emotionally, she couldn't stand up.
That's why she dies too. Like, she protected Misa.
Oh, stop. Oh, I'm so sad.
I forgot her name. Rin?
Rin. Yeah, I think it was Rin.
Something.
But it's been a minute since No, guys, I'm going to be so honest. From what I remember, I'm trying to remember everything that I've watched about. You know, I remember when I first watched Death Note.
I was
and
in middle school. That was one of my first animes.
I was in middle school as well. Yeah, I was in middle school. But I remember watching it. I was like, oh, I remember literally thinking to myself, I was like, oh, Misa's kind of stupid. And then I act like Misa. So I'm like, hey, you know, we've all been there. It's a canon moment. Even though it's a canon moment, Misa should have stood up. They were very toxic. Not even, okay, Light was toxic. There you go. He was toxic, didn't care. He just did not give a crap. And she let him. But was she blinded by love?
Was she? Yes.
Or was she just so infatuated with the idea of him?
I think maybe she was infatuated with the idea of him, but obviously
she would loved him.
the deeper they got entangled into this Kira mess.
Oh my God.
The more she felt like, that's
He
like
needed her.
that's her forever partner.
Yeah, he needed her. Like, she was there for him and he
Yeah.
needed her. No, girl, stand up.
Well, honestly, he did need her though. To pull off a lot of the stuff he did.
Yeah, but if she really loved herself, she would have been like, no, goodbye.
I'll just start my own spree.
Yeah. But it's okay, that I think for Death Note, it's very point blank period. It's very like you can see it. It's very apparent. Like no matter what, in any angle you see it, Light Yagami was a horrible person, even though he was trying to do good.
He was
like
a bad man.
He was a bad. Think about it. Okay, he's only people. Okay, this is my issue with this double-edged sword about people. Think about it. He's only like bad people who've done wrong things, but in the same turn, aren't you becoming that type of person? But he's like
if he every single criminal in the world, the only criminal that would be left is him.
But think about it. He's like an anti-hero, basically, which I get. I love anti-heroes.
Yeah.
It's
But then
like
it,
cokiest, like that.
It like
But morally, is it morally right? No.
His morals start to unravel, especially towards the end when he's like feeling, like that feeling of like being cornered. He starts FBI agents, police officers. He tried, obviously his main goal was to kill L.
It was,
and then yeah.
I think he lost his. I think after a while, once he started getting cornered and he kind of realized that like there's really no way out of this, he started spiraling.
The power went to his head.
It went to his head because imagine this: if you could anybody in this world with just a single write of their name, full name, and you had just power of whatever,
he becomes like desensitized.
Yeah, and I get
like,
it.
The loss of life that.
Yeah, I get it though, because if I were in a situation, I would only want to kill bad people. I would only want to kill like the worst people in the world. But then think about it, like. But once it starts happening, I feel like my moral compass.
Self-control.
Yeah, I think my moral compass would change a little bit because it'd be like, well, I can kill anyone I want. This person did this. They did this, and that's horrible. So I have to kill them. But then aren't I also a bad person for somebody taking a life away? Because no, I don't think. As much as I am always like, yeah, them, yeah, like that person's horrible. But morally, I would never take someone's life.
No.
And so I'm putting this is all on theme. So Light Yagami and Misa Amane, since they were entangled in such a deep web of moral and ethics, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what it is. Toxicity was just going to be bound to be happening because not only were they both in a toxic environment, they also were people. And that's toxic.
And also like we're constantly like forging this web of like schemes to ensure that they didn't get caught.
But then what happens when your schemes catch up to you? And what happens when the only person those two, right? What happens when you have to work together? I feel like no matter what, even if you try to run away from it, there's no way. You've already said it. The trap is already laid. Both of you can't get out. So of course you're going to be stuck in this toxic cycle. And no matter what, I feel like their relationship was bound to end was bound to end in toxicity. Yeah. As you can tell, Exactly. Full circle moment. Well, if you guys disagree, if anyone disagrees with any of our opinions, by all means, I want to hear it. Like, I want to know, like, where you guys stand. Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Sippy sip.
What YouTuber said that? Sippy sip.
Graveyard Girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
I loved Graveyard
Do you know what I'm talking
Girl.
about? I think it was her.
Sippy sip.
Right?
I think so.
I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Graveyard Girl. Hi.
I used to love her though. I used to love
Yeah.
her. I used to watch, but then she kind of like fell off, right?
Yeah, I think she like stopped
Yeah.
posting. Like,
I don't remember when why she fell off, but I just remember I just stopped watching her.
just like
after a
that
while.
whole era of YouTubers, like they fell off the face of the earth.
I know they did. A lot of them got married, just disappeared, which is okay. A lot of them got canceled. A lot of them just stopped posting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, getting off topic again.
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay.
So now that we've talked about something super heavy, in my opinion.
Well, I think this next anime is just as heavy, if not heavier, but we're going to make it lighthearted because we haven't seen it in a while, but I did want to touch base on it. Fruits Basket.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was never really crazy into it. I watched it. I read the manga kind of leisurely, but I was never like a huge fan.
Yeah, like if we want to talk about like webs and intertwining environments of toxicity, like Fruits Basket is it.
One thing that stood out about me with Fruits Basket, I don't think like one singular relation, like romantic relationship, was toxic. I feel like the whole dynamic of the family of the Zodiacs was toxic.
I think the two main like romantic relationships that I really saw or paid attention to in the anime were like the only things that weren't toxic. I mean, Toru and Kyo, like her,
They were so cute. I love them.
her like unbiased, like completely devoted love, like for him,
And her compassion for him.
exactly, her compassion, like that budding into like genuine love, knowing every single part of him, knowing his flaws and his like, you know what I mean, like that was
Could not be me.
that's pure love, no toxicity whatsoever. And also Yuki and I don't know what he finds a girl too, and she like absolutely adores him, and she loves every bit of him.
Yuki's the mouse or rat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the biggest crush on him as a kid. I had the biggest-
White-haired man. Wait, didn't you ever? I feel like you would have a crush on Subaru then. White-haired man.
The cow? Oh, I had a big crush on him too. I had a crush on the rat and the cow. But okay, like Kayla said, those two relationships, I feel like out of the whole anime, out of every single relationship, was kind of like the light to break the toxicity and like break away from toxic cycles.
And honestly, like those two, like Kyo and Yuki are so deserving of that because of like the toxicity and like, you know, the trauma that they faced growing up with Akito.
Okay, I was talking to Kayla about this. This is my feelings about Akito from what I remember from the manga. Okay. So I thought Akito was a boy, but Kayla told me Akito is a girl, which actually plays in the theme. Okay, so I do remember in the manga kind of deep diving, and she had a very traumatic childhood, and then Kayla kind of reiterated like how deep and how traumatic it was.
Right.
But which I feel like caused the generational trauma and the generational curse that they all face.
Absolutely. And with the Zodiac curse itself, like, you know, each Zodiac animal had like a specific like role, or like, you know what I mean? Like they had like a specific image. And so that image was passed on to every single one. Like,
Which is
like the cat was always the monster and the outcast. The rat was always, you know,
the sneaky, the conniving.
But also the perfectionist, you know, like the golden child. Like they each had like their roles to fulfill, and like that in itself was like generational trauma.
Which, if you in turn think about it, like in like IRL aspects, I don't know how it is for other people, but living as a daughter who comes from two Asian parents who lived in Asia, you know, Asian immigrant parents will perpetuate stereotypes of their culture being like, you have to be this way, you have to conform this way, you have to conform, you have to be sweet, you have to be quiet, you have to know how to do this and that and this and that.
You can't swear, you have to be ladylike.
As you can guys tell, I swear.
But you're
all the
doing
time.
so good. I
haven't sweared once. I didn't even think about it.
I reprimanded Bella because
Multiple
of how how many times I had to just
Let me be free.
No, I said maybe like 5%. You can swear like 5% the amount that you normally do.
I just don't want to swear
just because
anymore.
we're on a time crunch too.
Oh no, literally. Okay. Back on my like point. Okay, I really want to go deep into this.
Yeah.
So as someone who's lived through generational trauma and just honestly, it's alarming and scary to see how generational trauma can affect your day-to-day life. And in Fruit Basket, I remember not as a kid because I couldn't have like comprehensive
Couldn't like conceptualize it.
but I remember kind of like deep diving into a Reddit forum about Fruit Basket and like generational trauma and how it really like fits into Asian stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of Asian countries, which majority of Asian countries do celebrate Lunar New Year. I just celebrate Mongolian Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
And each year is the zodiac, and each year has a like significant characteristic of it, and what happens to each zodiac. And I can kind of see how Akito really pushed for that, like, what's the word called? Like almost like the bubble that he conformed every single person of the family of the zodiacs and be like, the cat has to be this. The cat always has to be an outcast. It always has to be the black sheep, no matter what.
Because
or the rat has to be
was
this.
supposed to be like the glue or the god that holds all of them together, right? And that was Akito's role. Like that's like who she was trained, I guess, to be like that. Like, and also like mentally, like that's all that she was ever meant for.
But then think about it. It's
so
like
seeing that unravel because of what she,
grew up. What
seeing
was
that
like,
being
taught her.
unraveled by Toru in her perspective, all of this is Toru's fault. Seeing that unravel, it unravels her own personality too, and she becomes so desperate that to keep it together.
But if you think about it, I don't think Akito was the villain then.
I don't think Akito was the villain at
wasn't
all.
the villain. I feel like the villain was just generational trauma.
The generational trauma.
That's literally it.
And I could even go and just say Akito's mom. You know what I mean? Like even just like the idea that she had to be raised appearing as a male,
which I feel like messes up your psyche regardless.
100%.
And
like I can't justify a lot of the things that Akito did,
of course,
right? Like I mean, we could talk about like sexual, emotional, mental like abuse like that she inflicted on multiple of the zodiac signs, but
it is sad to think. It is sad to think that.
I think that's a result of her desperation to keep the zodiac together because again,
that's her mind, she was taught.
In her mind, she's the god, she's the glue that holds them together. And if she doesn't have them, she's nothing.
Exactly. And then if you think about it, she's a byproduct of her parents. She's a byproduct of whatever she's taught, everything that she's had, like all these expectations that are lived up on her. Because she has to do this X, Y, and Z. If she strays away from it, she's not only a failure, she's gonna lose everything, which is really sad to think.
I appreciated the did it come out in 2019?
Yeah, I think so.
The newer version. I appreciated how it showed, a somewhat happy ending for all of them. It showed them healing because
the manga does.
Yeah, that too.
Because in the first rendition of it, it was not. It did not follow the manga at all.
It didn't cover much.
They villainized Akito so bad. I remember that. Yeah, that's where I started hating Akito, and then I rewatched.
And with the second rendition of it, as they go into the second season, or just like later into the story, they show like the human aspects of Akito and why she is the way that she is. Which
they do in the manga, and then in the end of the manga, they do all get pretty much happy endings, and Akito's able to heal, which is lovely and beautiful.
I appreciate that Fruits Basket shows each character healing in their own way.
And you can heal from generational trauma. So I think Fruits Basket in a like romantic sense, no, I don't think it's toxic. But in almost like a familial sense, yes, it was toxic, but they were all able to heal and break it.
It's toxic, but maybe there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's, if you just take away from like the actual like zodiacs and like the like humans turning into animals, I feel like it can be, this anime can pertain to a lot of like, generation trauma a lot of kids face from their parents and culture and just societal wise. Which, oh my god, that's so heavy. Everything's so heavy. And I'm also feeling sick. And my butt hurts.
And I worked out my glutes. Okay, just like a complaining break, I guess.
No, for real. But another anime that we were really talking about, which we could even do like a whole episode of, was Nana.
This should be a whole episode because that's kind of like our internet personalities right now.
Yeah. But even then, I feel like when I watched Nana, it not only set me in a psychosis as a kid, it made me feel like, wow, why do these characters feel human? And then when I rewatched it, I think when I was like end of high school, beginning of college, I rewatched it again, and it sent me to another psychosis, being like, wow, why are these people human? And it freaked me out. I did not like it. And then I read the manga, and the manga wasn't done at the time, and there was a weird open ending, and it set me in another psychosis.
Long story short, before we dive into it, I don't think any character in Nana is perfect.
No,
that's the point.
No, and I don't think anyone should villainize any specific character except Takumi. At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
At least except Takumi. I feel like he knew what he was doing.
I don't think there was a single healthy relationship.
Oh, God, no.
We could even talk about friendships like Hachi and Junko. Like, I love Junko, and I think she's a tough love kind of friend, but I don't think she was a good friend.
I think she was what Nana needed. Like, she might have not been.
She needed a friend to tell her, yeah, like, you know what? You deserve being cheated on because of the way that you are. That probably sent her into a psychosis. And when she found Takumi and he was like, okay, well, I'll start a family with you, then she was like, okay, like, this is it for
Junko is a type of like tough love person, don't get me wrong, and like she could have worded it completely differently. I understand that, but also she needed to bring Nana back to reality, but not in the way that she should have. I get it. I get it.
I think she was just like, she was in like stuck between a rock and a hard place because
I think she was just sick and tired of hearing everything. I think that was it.
Too. And
I think she was so sick and tired of it.
At that point, don't be Hachi's friend anymore because she was friends with both Shoji and Hachi. So like, I understand like being stuck between a rock and a
almost
hard
burnt
place.
Out.
Yeah, and feeling burnt out, like seeing and hearing about all of the stuff that was happening and like having to like listen to her cry over and over and over. I'm not that type of friend though. I'm the type of friend, and maybe that's why I don't like Junko, because I'm very much like, if you need to cry it to me over and over and over, like if you need to tell me about the same situation that happened months ago until you get over it, then tell me.
Don't get me wrong, my friends are like that, but also I have a few friends who are more like Junko in the sense of being like, well, why are you crying about it? What's going to change the situation? And I have cried to this friend multiple times, and the first few times, okay, it's first time, first love, right?
Yeah.
But then it got to the point where it was like, but you're doing this to yourself. Why are you staying with them? So I get Junko. That's the thing. I have friends like that, so I can see where she's coming from.
Like it needing to be a point of like, hey, like,
don't do this. You're self-destructing, and you keep self-sabotaging. You keep going back to this dude.
Yeah, or
I didn't even want you.
I feel like if it were me, like, and if you came to me like months down the line crying about something that happened so long ago, I'd be like, well, why is it that it's coming up now? Yeah. Because you know what I mean? Because obviously something is going unhealed that is happening or triggering you consistently.
I feel like Junko, the way they portrayed Junko is that she's
too tough love.
She loved her friends, but I just think she lacked empathy in the sense where Nana needed comfort. And that's the thing, is a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are like that. So that's why I just
don't think that they were a good match in terms of friends having to deal with relationships.
No, and
maybe that's not necessarily toxic. So I will take back my statement of saying Junko is toxic. Yeah. They're just not a good match in terms of friends.
But also think about this. Nana was so boy crazy. But think about it.
She got cheated on, and she literally manifested Sachiko into existence. Like, I'm sorry, I would crash out if I went to my boyfriend and I was like, oh, are you going to cheat on me with a girl named Emily? And then I find out that he actually ended up later down the line cheating on me with a girl named Emily.
Okay, this is my qualms with Hachi. I think she's stupid. I think she should have stood up, but I see a lot of like my traits in her. And that's why I can't. That's why whenever I watch Nana, I viscerally get like angry.
I think she did stand up in a way. She didn't ever have the idea to like, obviously she missed him and she like longed for that relationship. But was she like blowing up his phone?
No.
Like trying to get him back? Trying to make it seem like it was her fault that she got cheated? No.
There was a
that in a way is standing up.
Yeah, but I also felt like she should have worked on herself and not
Yeah.
wasn't. I just wish she
was boy crazy, 100%.
and that's the thing. It's like I think a lot of people can see themselves in Nana, like Hachi specifically. So you're kind of like, wow, I don't like her right now because I see myself in her. Okay. We were literally going to talk about each character. Okay, so we
could start with Hachi first then.
Hachi. We talked about Junko, Hachi, and Junko, of course, but so I kind of want to talk about Hachi and like Nobu.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, at least on the side of TikTok that I've seen, I haven't really deep dive on their relationship.
Really shipped them, and they were like, "Oh, it should have been them too. Oh, it should have been them too."
It should have been them. But I think Nobu wasn't a good person, and I just don't think he was what Hachi needed, in my opinion.
I don't think he would have been a good husband, and I think that's why Hachi doesn't go with him, because he wouldn't be a good provider.
And he just liked the idea of her. He loved the idea of Hachi. He loved the idea of fixing her. Like you said,
I said
he's
earlier,
a savior. He's like what is it called?
He watched, her failed relationships. She would cry about, how she got cheated on, and obviously see how Takumi was treating her,
and then swooped in and literally magically acted like
that savior for her. That's like, oh, I'll show her what like a good man is. Like, I mean, he could have been. Who knows?
I don't think he would have changed for her though. That's the thing.
Honestly, I don't think that he was like a red flag in a way that's like, oh, like he would have like cheated on her. No. He would have neglected her. No, I think he was a very sweet boyfriend, like fling, whatever, you want to consider them. But I just think that he had no prospects. Like, yes, like he came from a rich family, but he gave all of that up to pursue music. So technically he has nothing.
Well, I mean, I
don't think Hachi really cared about that, but she had to care about it once she got pregnant.
So my qualms with Nobu is that I do think Nobu is a good person in a sense of like,
it was very puppy love, honestly.
I feel like he did help her in the fact of just like helping her move on and seeing like what she liked and what she didn't like, which is okay, because a lot of people do that in relationships. They go into another relationship and
maybe she realized she wanted a golden retriever boyfriend and she got the black cat instead.
I just feel like Nobu, in my most humble opinion, I just don't think he was ready to settle down.
No.
And I don't think he was ready to give Hachi what she wanted. And
right, if it was Nobu's kid, like they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't.
And when they did end things, he went to another woman who looked almost exactly like her, acted like her. So I think that's the thing. He liked the idea of Hachi so much that he went to go look for another partner like her. And it just shows to me that he's not emotionally mature enough to give her what she needs.
He crashes out to the point where he dates someone who looks like, and who knows? I mean, in their defense, like the animation style isn't that, intricate,
but it's intricate enough to know that
like I can tell the difference between Shin and Nobu. Sure, but no, I understand what you're saying.
If
they could have made a better distinction if there was supposed to be a clear distinction.
If you guys have ever watched Sex and the City, I'm just gonna do like a little reference. If you guys ever watched Sex and the City, you know how Big does, spoiler alert, he marries Carrie, but he has a wandering eye, so he's, he goes back to what he thinks is right, what kind of woman he should end up with. And it's a very like stereotypical, independent, successful woman, but she's always a brunette. Carrie's not a brunette. Carrie's a beautiful blonde who doesn't work in a very high paying job and a very like, I guess like she's not born in a rich family with connections who have very high grade jobs. She just works as like she works for a little newsletter. So I'm just saying this is that Big had a very specific type, and he liked the idea of that woman, of that like successful woman that he should be with.
100%.
But he felt shame for being in love with Carrie, or like he just felt like he should have ended up with somebody other than Carrie. That's like how I interpret Big, and how I interpret Nobu. I can
see that 100%.
How I interpret Nobu is Nobu loved Nana, and he loved the idea of Nana and loved fixing her, but he wasn't ready to fully commit to Nana. So that's why he wants to go for, at least from what I remember, he likes women who are kind of down on the luck a little bit so we can fix them.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. And if you guys think I'm wrong, that's fine. That's just my opinion. And you can let me know yours.
See that.
Takumi and Hachi on the other hand, Takumi knew what he was doing. Specifically,
He knew. And at least he could have been, I said this earlier, at least he was man enough to own up to everything that had happened.
Did he change though?
Absolutely not. He didn't become like the perfect husband, the perfect partner for him.
When you wake up next to him in the middle
But at the end of the day,
night.
he got Hachi pregnant. He owned up to it.
Yeah.
You know, provided a life for her and their kid. Like,
But was he still a horrible human being who treated her like crap? Yeah. And he was
Absolutely.
manipulative. And this is the crazy part, is that Aizawa did such a great portrayal of Takumi being such a manipulator and gaslighter that makes you feel like, wow, like, yeah, I don't like him. I would never want to be with somebody like him. But when
if
you're
you
in
came face to face with someone like him,
when you're in a relationship with somebody like that, it's hard.
who's just so charming and like he has that like gravitational pull where it's
He's
like,
a successful artist who's handsome, who can provide a life that she wanted. Of course, you know, it's hard to say you wouldn't be in a situation like that. You're like, of course, you're gonna be like, I would never be with somebody like that. But then when you're in that situation, you're like, oh, wait, I love him.
but he looks like everything you want and more.
But he's,
Gives you everything you want and more.
yeah, no. I think they're toxic.
Oh,
I think
100%.
Nobu and Hachi, I think it's a gray area. I don't think they're toxic, though. I just don't think they're toxic.
I don't think they're toxic just because
Junko and
there wasn't
Hachi? No.
there wasn't enough like about Nobu and Hachi. Like I said, I think it was like very puppy love. Like it was like an infatuation almost. You know what I mean? Like they like yeah, like they loved each other, but like when you're first dating like your high school sweetheart or like you know, when you're first dating a guy and you're like, oh, I love you, like, we're gonna get married, I can't wait to have 5 kids. Like, that was them. You know, like, they were still in, like, a honeymoon phase.
But then Takumi, out of no, like,
Just swoops
swoops
back
in,
and steals
swoops
her
back
up.
in, steals her back. Basically, it's like, I'm gonna change.
And
I'll
Nobu
do
gets all
that.
depressed and doesn't do anything.
No, he doesn't
So-
fight for her because he actually doesn't want to commit. He doesn't, he just
Yeah.
like the idea of her
Or
and
he feels
fixing her.
or he feels inferior.
Maybe.
Which in itself is not what Hachi needed then.
No, but was Takumi what she needed? No.
Neither of
Takumi,
them.
no. I think she should have just stood up, literally stopped being boy crazy, took some time for herself, and was like, you know what? I don't need a man. But think about this, when you're in your early 20s, you're trying to figure out your life, you know, society does put, and think about this, in America, we live in a very independent society, in a very independent mindset of like, well, if a man can do it, I can do it. But a lot of Asian cultures, they don't.
Exactly. In Asia,
That's the difference, is that
around this age for us is when women start to settle down, like, and get married
and a lot of
and start families. So
I don't know how Japan is. I don't know, so I can't speak about Japan. But I know at least in like some countries that I've heard of, and Mongolia, you know, when a woman hits a certain age, she loses value, because in Asia you should have a family. You should settle down. You should have a family.
And unfortunately, I still think that is applicable. Like, you know, like once a woman hits her 30s, mid 30s, like, you know, like her having kids at that age, like not as desirable, not as safe, or starting a family, getting married at that age, like it's kind of like, you know, like very late bloomer.
And the thing is with Hachi, I feel like she just wanted
like the beautiful housewife life.
I don't even think that. Like, I think she felt like she needed that because she felt like she needed safety. Or honestly, she needed, what's the word called? I can't think of a word. Like, hold on. Like,
Stability.
Because her life, she got cheated on. Her life was just in shambles. She was going from one boy to another. She just felt
She
like
was also broke.
she was broke as, and
just moved to Tokyo.
yeah, for a boy. So, of course, she feels lost, and she feels like when it comes to a family, marriage, and a child, she feels like that's stability. So,
Yeah.
of course, don't get me wrong, I can't speak upon certain women, but I know at least in my eyes, when I watched Hachi and when I was watching Nana, I felt like she wanted stability so bad that she settled for Takumi, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think they're toxic in the sense of that she's using Takumi for stability because he can give her the funds. He can take care of her. He can give her a life where she doesn't have to worry. But Takumi is not a good person.
I think he's fine with the idea of having a stable family as long as he still gets to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and the thing is that I feel like he wanted her. Like she was almost like a conquest to him.
Yeah.
She wasn't a woman. She wasn't a woman in his eyes. She was a conquest for him to like have.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. See, toxic. That's my case. Point blank period. Toxic.
Toxic. Moving on.
I think Nana and Ren were toxic. I don't know if anyone wants to hear this, but I think they were toxic.
Yeah, moving on to other Nana.
Nana and Ren, their relationship, I think it was toxic, and I'm going to stand on it. Because tell me why. You can't tell me that if you're dating someone and then out of nowhere they just disappear, doesn't say anything, but then pop out with a new band, doesn't say anything, disappears from your life, but then reappears again. You can't tell me that's not toxic.
Or it's like, if he really loved Nana in the moment, like, you know what I mean? Like, he was so fine with just letting her go, letting everything go.
With no closure, without anything.
It was like, you know what? I'm moving. And then, like, it was like a talk. Like, oh, yeah, like, you know, I'm going to join this band. And then you think that you have more time with him. And then, boom, suddenly
boom,
he's
out of
gone.
nowhere.
Boom, gone.
Doesn't call,
leave.
doesn't
Exactly.
write, but then says, I love you, I love you, I love you, you're the one I want to be with.
I loved you, I've missed you this whole time. Well, why didn't you write?
Why didn't you write?
Why didn't you try
say
to find
anything?
me? I'm still living at your apartment that you're paying for.
The fact that he was still paying for the apartment, she lived there, he knew where she was. He just didn't want, in my eyes,
he cared too much about his own career.
Which, okay, I understand if you're he wanted to be successful. He wanted to be in a band where he could
Right.
He wanted to be successful. That's
his
it.
priorities
He wanted
lied
fame.
there.
He wanted fame. He wanted success, which I get 100%.
He couldn't.
But if he was not a toxic person, not even toxic, if he wasn't so self-centered, he would have told Nana, hey, I want to pursue this. And I know this is going to cause a rift. And I don't think I can continue this because I really want to pursue this. But he said, I'm going to go and I'm going to go pursue this.
Yep.
But I still love you. But then calls her how many months down the line? I don't years, honestly.
It takes what's it called? Hachi getting Ren's number from Takumi.
But we don't even talk about how
Or Yasu.
We don't even talk about how Yasu knew this whole time, didn't say anything to Nana.
We'll talk about Yasu next. But that's the thing. Ren could have easily found Nana because one, Ren was still connected to Yasu.
And she was still living in the apartment.
It's not until Nana meets Hachi, coincidentally, right?
Yep.
And Hachi's also a big fan of Trap Nest. She ends up meeting Takumi.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was Nana that calls Ren on Hachi's phone.
And that's the thing. It's that
He never took
cared.
initiative.
No.
He never took initiative to
I don't
try
think he
and find
cared.
her, connect with her.
I don't think he cared. He would. I get it. I get it. If you want fame and success, you really have to like pursue it, and you can't have any distractions. I get that. But he played with Nana's heart, played with her heart, pulled her back and forth, and Nana loved him. She loved him so much that she waited.
Right.
And as much as she said she didn't wait, she waited. She loved him. She could not.
Yeah.
She could not fathom the thought about being with anybody else except Ren because
The only thought I could have about Ren that would like make him seem like decent in this situation is like, but then also I'm like, you're just, you're a coward then, because if he was like, oh, I love you so much, like
I missed you this whole
And then
time,
he,
but I
like-
never called.
he like runs away, like I think of like a damsel in distress that's like,
Ooh, oh, that was
ow,
deep.
ow, that's like, oh, I love you so much, and then, but I can't be with you, and then runs off.
Yeah,
What a damsel.
yeah. I just think he's self-centered, and I just don't like. Nana was never a priority to him, but he faked it. That's the thing. He faked her being a priority, and that's where I think that's where it's toxic because he just lied, disappeared, came back, played with her heartstrings. Spoiler alert, if you guys don't want to hear a spoiler, skip. But in the manga, he dies. So she never got that.
She never gets her closure.
She never
And,
gets
like,
closure. She never got closure from the beginning. She never got closure when he came. And she never got closure when he left, when he died. So she's just stuck in this perpetual cycle of Ren. And I think he wanted it that way. That's just how I see it. But that's the thing is that
Him die. You think him die?
no, I'm not saying him die. No. But I'm
Okay.
just saying that like before he died, I feel like I think he liked the idea of Nana.
Thinking that they could just move past that.
Yeah, but I think he liked the idea of Nana still being in love with him. Like I think he still liked that idea. That's the thing.
100%.
But him dying is not intentional. I'm not saying that he died to keep Nana, but I'm just saying that like even after he died, Nana still loved him. And I'm not gonna lie, and that's where I'm saying is that Nana, the anime, everyone feels so human because and I mean, yeah, we can have our thoughts. We can be like, this person's this, but they're human, and people act this way, and people when they want something, of course. Well, no, honestly, life makes you act in certain different ways, and I will never villainize, except Takumi. I will never villainize anyone in that anime because it's like you're living life for the first time. And
I always say that. Like, we're all living life for the first time.
And that's why I feel like Nana it hits so deep to people. And I'm not saying it doesn't hit deep to men, but especially women, because it really just shows you what love does, what love can do, how it can destroy you, how it can uplift you. So, like I was saying, like I feel like Nana brings out such like a strong emotion, like strong emotions to women specifically. Because at least for me, growing up, you know, I'm taught to be quiet, you know, be sweet, docile, fall in love,
ladylike.
Yeah, but then like Nana really just uproots every societal view that I have about myself and like cultural views that I have, because it's kind of like, well, I'm in my early 20s too. I want to find my life. I want to do this, but I don't want to be stuck in a horrible cycle of like going through one thing to another and being stuck in a toxic cycle with men.
Right.
But then it's also at the same point, it's like I can feel for these women so hard now that I'm in my like 20s. I'm like, wow.
Honestly,
like
it gives me the dilemma of like, do I want to be a career driven woman, or do I want
a family? Well, I don't want kids. I don't really.
I know you don't want a family with kids, but like, you know, like for me, like, oh, like, do I want to prioritize like settling down and having a family one day? Like,
or your career.
Why can't I do both at the same time? Like, and honestly, like I've talked about it. Like the timelines just don't line up for me. Like if I were to go off to med school, you know, I would be in school until I'm
30,
32. Until I'm like about 32, right? And like my ideal age like for being married and having kids is by 28. I'm 22 now. That's in 6 years.
Yeah.
Like
which 6 years goes by fast.
Yeah. The timelines just don't line up. Like I would have to have gotten married and had kids in med school. Like the career that I have like been on course for versus the life and like family that I want, they just
don't align. Yeah.
They're not compatible.
And that's why I think Nana, like the anime, just like Hachi and Nana, they're so similar, but they're different. Like it just shows two different perspectives.
It shows a career-driven woman, and it shows a family-oriented woman.
And it just shows that, like, not shows, it just two people coming together who want different things in life but become friends and navigate their 20s. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's so gut-wrenching when you watch everything unfold in their life, because it's like, this could happen. Not only could this happen to you, it's happened to you.
And see how people, you know, interject themselves in these two women's lives, and how that shapes their experiences and how that shapes their mindsets. Segueing into our final character, because I do want to talk about him before we go. Yasu, literally.
Which I've seen him blow up on TikTok being like the perfect man, the perfect this.
Like my man, like what a man.
Don't get me wrong.
He's a good man. I think he is, yeah. At his core, he's a good man.
He tried.
But he is morally gray because
I think so too.
One, he's loyal to Ren because that's like your long-term friend, you know. But at the same time, like he is in love with Nana.
Yeah,
he is, and
nobody wants to talk about that. Actually, I've never seen anyone talk about how Yasu is in love with Nana.
Yasu is literally in love with Nana.
I think you were gonna say Yandere. I was like
Yona. I was about to say Yona.
Oh.
Yona of the Dawn.
And I thought completely different things. But yeah, like Kayla and I talked about this. Yasu, we think that Yasu was in love with Nana, and here are reasons why.
I mean, he literally says to Ren at some point, you know, like when they come in contact with each other, it's because of Yasu's respect for Ren that he doesn't ever try to pursue a romantic relationship with Nana. He says that point blank, period. Like, and if it weren't for Ren and his respect and loyalty, he would have made moves. He would have. But in his own way, you know, him still being around for Nana, him still trying to care for her and check up on her, and obviously like keep their like group together in what ways he can, like that's still showing his love for her. Like if he can't have her as a, you know, a lifelong partner, at least he can have her in his life.
And then if you think about it, when he saw Nana struggling with when Ren left, I feel like I understand he has respect for Ren as like that's his boy, that's his friend.
But it would be so selfish for him to try and aid in that process of her moving on.
I feel like, and I think that's like when I think about it, when women go through heartbreak, I feel like we feel it first and we feel
Absolutely.
it so intensely. We just want answers. We want closure. And I feel like Yasu just didn't want her to get hurt even more,
With answers that she didn't want.
but
answers that would
exactly. But I think
would
she
hurt.
needed to hear those answers. That's the thing. So for her to fully move on,
I
but
think
she wasn't
was
able
the type
to.
of person that just needed the answers.
Yeah.
But now that you say that, okay, sorry, I feel like I'm jumping back. But now that you say that, women do feel breakups at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What if we're not going to change our whole theory because I still don't like Ren?
Oh,
but
no,
what
I think
if,
they're so toxic.
What if, he was that type of guy that didn't realize like how much he had really lost until inklings of her started to come back?
And I think that's why he came back. That's the thing. I think because because Nana felt when Ren left, she felt it immediately. That's the breakup.
But he left to become so hyper focused and so fixated on Trap Nest. It wasn't until
when they became successful, he started missing her, missing the band, missing everything.
Right, and also inklings of her showing up. I mean, she showed up to one of his concerts, and that hit him like a truck.
Because he was like, "Oh my god, I miss her.
Oh my god, like that's her." Anyway,
and I still stand on what I stand on.
Yeah, I still don't like him. But it proves your theory that women feel things first, men feel things later. Anyway, back to Yasu.
I really agree with you that he's morally gray because at one end
things out of selfish yes, like he could say, "Oh, I'm doing this, to protect Ren and because I know it won't hurt you." But a lot of things too, like Yasu had Ren's contact information. He knew where he was staying.
Nana was Nana was crashing out. She wanted to know where he was. She wanted to speak to him. And he knew this whole time.
He could have bridged that, Ren, talk to Nana once, like have a final phone call, at least write her something. Or she could have, gotten his contact information from Yasu, but he chooses to withhold that from her.
And I think in his mind, at least from what I can kind of think or just contextualize, is that I feel like Yasu thought he was doing something morally right, keeping them apart because he was like, well, Ren hurt Nana so bad and Nana doesn't need to continue this hurt. So he should
they ended, they're done, that's it.
But then I don't think he realized the extent of how hurt Nana was. Nana wanted closure. She wanted answers. She just wanted to know why. Well, I mean, she knew what was going on, but she just wanted to know why he left so early. She never got that.
Why he had to leave and disappear to that extent.
Yeah, and exactly. So
and I think it is kind of
selfish.
It is selfish to withhold how Ren and Yasu were still connected and talking, and you know what I mean? Like they didn't cut contact whatsoever.
No, but Yasu loved Nana. So in turn,
he thought that he was protecting her, but maybe it was
he thought that if he was there, for her, she would start liking him, which I feel like
that could be a reason, or you know what I mean?
He just didn't want to see her hurt anymore. That's his.
Or in his attempts to protect her, maybe he's protecting himself, because what if they did make a long distance relationship work?
And Yasu wasn't ready to basically not love Nana.
He would have to be the bridge between that too. Like there are so many factors that I think make Yasu a gray character in terms of his morals and whether or not he's toxic or not toxic, because yes, he does a lot of things to try and be the protector, because that's kind of like
his kind of
that's
role.
his theme,
yeah.
Right? He's like the older, I don't even know their ages, but he seems like the oldest. He's a lawyer.
More mature lawyer.
Yeah, he's like the
he has his stuff together, basically.
He's got a good head on his shoulders. But
then he's only human at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we kept saying, is that no matter what anime, especially Nana, these characters are meant to portray, I feel like, almost like extremes of a person.
Yeah.
Or honestly just kind of show relationships and how they happen in real life.
If we imagine them happening to you or I or to any of our friends, like how toxic some of these situations would really be, honestly.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, yeah.
Everything is just morally gray. Toxic or not toxic, it's kind of gray.
This is just our opinions, and of course, you know, if you all agree with it, that's fine. I just think Nana and Ren were toxic, just in the sense of like they just didn't know how to communicate. And that was it. No communication whatsoever. It was just like only when they saw each other, that's when it was like, oh my God. But then when they're away from each other, it's like, oh, whatever.
I don't think Hachi was a toxic person. I think she was just so desperate
Lost.
for love.
I think she was lost.
Yeah, she was so
Hurt.
desperate for love. She wanted stability. She wanted safety. Like,
and I think Nana was someone who acted tough to protect her heart. She acted scary and mean, but at the end of the day,
she's very guarded for a reason.
Yeah. But she just didn't want her heart to, she just didn't want to get hurt again. And she is a loving, caring person in her own way. And she's been hurt, she's been burnt. And these two meeting, two lost, honestly hurt women finding love with each other, I think is beautiful. But do some of the characters that they get involved with, some of the relationships do get a little toxic, or it gets a little morally gray. And I feel like that's a lot to do with life. And we're not saying that this is like immediately like, oh my God, toxic. This is like, they're toxic, they're horrible. We're just saying that like, from what we watched and what we read, this is what our opinions have for our opinions. And if you have different ones, that's okay. Let us know. I want to know.
I want to know too. But yeah, I think that concludes our
Toxic or Not episode.
Yeah, this has been like a full anime talk episode. I honestly like this format. And I think, you know, maybe some people will miss like our little yap sessions of us
yapping and stuff like that. We'll still incorporate that.
Because I have a lot of tea to share with you guys about my But maybe we could do like an on and off schedule. Like, you know, every other episode we'll do
like
an anime specific, and then
like a yap session.
Yeah, like 1 week we'll do specifically anime, like deep diving into like our hot takes, and then the next week we'll do updates on our life, what's going on,
just like funny stories, especially like our trip to San Francisco since it's coming up so soon.
We do want to talk about that. It's coming up soon, so maybe next week we'll talk about what's been going on with us while we've been sick and away. Yeah. It's been over a month since we recorded the last episode.
Oh my God, guys. But update, I've been working out. I lost 2 inches off my waist. Summertime, here I come, baby. But thank you for tuning in. We will see you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.